Have you ever had an idea about maybe a book or an online course or some type of coaching, but you were afraid to put yourself out there, afraid of rejection, afraid of all these different things, so you never pulled the trigger? If that's you, in this video, we're going to talk about 5 tips to help you overcome fear for anything you're trying to do, for any new endeavor, whether that's a book or an online course or coaching or any type of idea, and you want to get yourself out there and you're stuck by fear. Stay tuned. Now, a lot of things that come up when we're talking about fear is procrastination, excuses, and rejection, right? We don't want to be rejected. We don't want to have anybody come and say negative things, and we don't want to fail. But failure is a part of the process. So to start, there are 5 things you can do, and I'm going to break all these down quickly. First, you want to give yourself the 1-day rule. We'll talk about that. Another thing is that something you need to realize in the beginning is that you won't be very good. We're going to talk about that. And 2 things, one of which I struggle with, perseverance. I don't struggle with that, but consistency, that is something I also struggle with. But we're going to break that down too. And then the most important thing is giving yourself a deadline. Now, keep in mind that you never know who your content is going to help, what your content is going to do, unless you put it out there. And remember that you're not alone. We're all going through the same thing, right? So if you ever created something, whether that's a course or a book, or you started writing and you didn't finish it, and then you start saying, you know what, man, there's a lot of people doing this. There's already somebody, this guy has a ton of people already following him about the same thing. Why would people listen to me? You know, I'm not an expert. You got to get out of that mindset. Fear is a common thing. You just need to know that. Everybody's afraid. Even me, getting comfortable behind the camera now, writing books and speaking and all these things, I had to start from nothing before I gained that confidence. So fear is a common thing. Procrastination and excuses, right? We all make excuses to justify why we don't want to do the thing. Oh, I didn't have enough time, or there's already people doing that, or this idea isn't going to be good enough. And let me tell you, it is. If you are going into it with the attitude of service, it's good enough. You just got to get it out there, right? And then you can adjust and get feedback after you get it out there. So rejection is another thing. What if I post a video and I don't get any comments, or I don't get any likes? Or what if somebody makes a negative comment? We're so hung up on metrics these days that we lose sight of the thing that we're trying to get the stuff out there for, which is to serve people and to help people, right? So keep the people in mind. Don't worry about the rejection. As a matter of fact, if you start to get negative comments, that means you're doing something right, because obviously you have haters. We know about haters, right? So just put it out there. Brings me to tip number 1, which is to give yourself the 1-day rule. Now, even if you're afraid, do it afraid, do it doubtful, do it fearful, because once you do it, then the fear goes away. It's already done it. So the 1-day rule is this: no matter what happens after you get done with that piece of content, that video, that podcast, that course, release it in 1 day after it. Don't think about it, just release it. It doesn't matter if you don't think it's good enough, just release it. 1-day rule. Little story about me: had a course, got it done, but I started telling myself all these things, and because of that, I never pulled the trigger, right? I released it later, made a lot of money doing it. So I left a lot of money on the table just because I was afraid of what people were going to say, or that it wasn't going to be good enough. And hey, the first time it did suck. My first book, it did suck, you know. You have to learn these things. Now, the sad thing is all that potential revenue that I missed out on, all because I was afraid to pull the trigger. So 1-day rule. That'll get rid of procrastination and excuses. So even if it's not good enough, good is the enemy of great. This brings me to the next tip. Realize that in the beginning that you will suck. There is no experience. There is no substitute for experience. Experience is the only way that you learn these things. Failure is the only way that you learn these things. So as long as you realize and you know that you are gonna suck in the beginning, and you know what, you might think you suck, but other people might think you're fantastic. So it's about a mindset. 1-day rule, put it out there. Remember in the beginning that you won't be as good as you want to. Experience is the only teacher that will help you get better. The 3rd tip is perseverance and consistency. I'll lean more towards consistency, because you'll hear that a ton, and I struggle with this, right? Because you've heard that we need to be everywhere all the time in all these places, but I had a different mindset about this, and you need to develop a different mindset, which is to say, don't try to be everywhere. Pick one platform, focus intensely on that platform, and then you have a second platform that where you post the stuff that you've done on your main platform. I made a goal that says, hey, I'm going to release a video once every week. So my daughter is one, she requires a lot of attention. So all these things get in the way, right? But if I really want to show up for you every week, right, I have to say something like, I'm going to create 20 videos on a Saturday or a Sunday. This way I have, 6 months of content, then I don't have to worry about it. And then I'll block off that time and do the 20 videos. This is just arbitrary numbers, but what I'm saying is you have to have a different mindset about showing up. And when I started to do that, and I'm still struggling with it, but when you start to do that, you will start to see exponential growth. So the last thing is to give yourself a deadline and stick to it. I think I read a book of Dave Ramsey's that said a goal without a date is just a dream. So you can think about it all you want, you can plan it, but if you don't set a concrete date where you say, I'm going to have this thing done by this date, if you don't put that pressure on yourself, then you won't commit to those goals. So as a review, number one, you want to give yourself the 1 day rule. Pull the trigger as soon as you get that video done, as soon as you get that podcast done, as soon as you get that book done, and then start promoting it. Realize in the beginning you won't be that good at it. You can get better over time. The third thing is perseverance and consistency. Plan to show up each week. If you can't do a week, then do every 2 weeks, or if you can only do once a month, do something that you know your schedule will allow you to do, and you'll be able to show up for the people you're trying to serve. And then the last thing is give yourself a deadline and stick to it. I hope this has been valuable for you. I'm writing a book. It's called Unlearn, and it's about getting out of our old frame of mind and mindset so that we can make way for new opportunities. That book is coming. I'll let you know how you can get it. I'm super excited about that. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. And if you want to find out more about me, you can go to yoursuccesslifestyles.com/bio, B-I-O. That'll do it for this video. I hope to see you in the next video. Take care, peace, blessings, and prosperity.